What's up, my guys? What's up, my girls? Welcome back to the Danny Flow podcast. I'm your boy, Danny Flow. This is the podcast where I share my philosophy of life. I'm a 28-year-old Catholic husband and father. I've done episodes on faith. I've done episodes on philosophy. I've done episodes on fatherhood and family. And this is really me just sharing what's important to me and what makes my life significant. And I hope that some of you find those things significant uh, as well. Today, I'm joined by a friend that I met on Instagram. We connected because of the faith, and we're around the same age. And I podcast video on YouTube. He also has a YouTube channel. It's actually featured on my YouTube channel. So if you want to find his YouTube channel, go ahead and check the featured channels on my channel. His is called Earthly Lynx. His actual name is Edwin Lucero. He came on here graciously to share his conversion story with him because I had a conversion of my own. And so when you go through something like that, you're interested in other people's stories. So I'm very thankful for you, Edwin. So why don't you tell us about yourself?
All right, cool. I appreciate that, by the way. Appreciate that, bro.
Hmm.
All right, so I live out here in the Bronx. 28 years old, actually. I'm gonna turn 29 next month, actually. Um, I graduated 2014. I'm a mechanical engineer. Um, I'm working right now in engineering. Uh, yeah, back and forth, doing a lot of the video work that you were talking about, Danny. Doing content creation, photography, video work, and really all based around bringing light to the faith, right? And what it looks like for a young adult or an adult in the city, right? And so that was really my inspiration there to do that. I have a family of seven. Got my blessed to have both my parents. I got two younger brothers and two younger sisters. I happen to be the oldest. And yeah, I mean, I went to college 2014. I've been working ever since.
Can we pause right there? How did you know that you were interested like in engineering? Just
I,
it's just something that that fell into your lap, and then you tried it, and you're like, I think I like this. I want to study this. What's the story behind
nah.
that?
So right before we started, and we were talking about this, the car that we were talking about.
Hmm.
So just a little backstory. So we were talking about some of the cars and the this connection that we built with those cars.
Hmm.
But this wasn't physically. This was my car, and the so the reason why my pops ended up selling the vehicle was because he had put in so much money into it, and so the thing was that every time he tried to fix something, something else would start malfunctioning, right?
Hmm.
And so he did that for like several years, bro. And I think that's where I built that connection, because I would go there, I would see what they would do to the car, I would try to help out, right? And I remember I told my pops, I was like, you know what, this car gave you so many problems that I want to be the engineer for a car, if to engineer a car that won't give anybody problems, bro.
Wow.
That's where that stemmed from
So
originally.
do you work in the car industry?
No, I haven't gotten to that point. That is one of those things that I want to, eventually we'll look into that. But
Hmm.
that was really where that inspiration came from, because I saw how much my dad took time to go and really try to get that car, working fine. But it also took him a lot of money, and it was something that not only affected him, but it also affected me, right? Because he was always stressed. Something would malfunction. With cars, until something happens to that car, you might drive it fine, everything's cool, but then all that stress comes into play, especially when the car start malfunctioning. And so that's where that inspiration came from. And I honestly, honest to God, I told my dad, one time when it had just rained. It had just rained, and we were busy trying to fix something underneath the car that had popped off. Don't ask me how. That was a while back, and it was raining. And that when I was there with my pops, we were lifting the car up, and I said, "Oh man, I'm gonna go be an engineer because this car sucks," or something like that, along those lines.
Should we tell what kind of car it was?
Oh yeah, nah, that car was an Astro van,
What is
a
that?
Chevrolet. It was a
Chevrolet?
Chevy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chevy
back in the day.
Astro.
Astro, yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
familiar
They
with the
so
with
check
those.
it, right? So
Hmm.
check it, right? They have the big vans, right? The normal size vans, right?
Hmm.
This was like a mini version of the big van. So it was a little bit smaller than your typical size van, but it wasn't too small. So it was a little bit bigger than the SUV, but not as big as a actual van. And so if actually search it up, I don't even know if they still manufacture that car because I know that vehicle had a lot of issues with the way that they designed that car. I don't know if it so from what I've heard, I don't know how true this is. I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I understand that that car was made to be a faster version of a van, but could still hold some of the capacity, like the weight load
Hmm.
that a van could. And so if you put the engine of a smaller car into a big size frame for that engine, you would have you would run into a lot of issues. That's what I heard. Okay,
Right.
it's
That's not
not
like we don't know if that's
don't
facts.
yeah, don't quote me on that. But
Mhm.
I heard something
Just in case we
about
have any like Astro van fans.
yeah,
Yeah, you know,
yeah,
I looked it up. Do you remember what I'm familiar with these vans? I just didn't know what they were called. And honestly,
yeah,
bro, I feel like a lot of families have these. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like a lot
yeah.
of. Do you remember what year it was?
1996.
1996. I'm gonna put in the year.
1996. It was a blue. I give it to you. It was a blue. It had two colors. There was a trim. There's a trim in the middle of the car that on the upper side of that trim, it was like a darker blue, and then on the bottom side, it was like a tone lighter of that blue. So it was really nice car, bro.
Hmm.
It looked really nice. I really the few good times that we were able to really spend in that car, that
Hmm.
it was like that's gonna be my car. But stuff happens.
Before we were recording, you were talking about this. You so this is the car that like he sold after he did all that work.
Yeah. He sold it. Yeah, it was already one too many
Mm.
issues. From what I understand, whoever got the car apparently fixed whatever issue it had. So he fixed the issue. He was able to drive off. Like they say, like in the movies, he drove into the sunset with the car. And yeah, I mean that car was a huge part of my
You became
I
an
don't know
engineer because of that.
preteen.
You
Yeah,
became an
yeah,
engineer because of that Chevy
yeah,
Astro 96.
yeah,
Look
man,
at that,
yeah.
bro.
Hey,
So, so that I mean, are you allowed to say what kind of engineering you are? What kind of engineer
yeah,
you are?
yeah. So my title is production engineer.
Hmm.
Basically, and I was explaining this to somebody else. Basically, I'm like the middleman between the design engineers and production staff.
Hmm.
And so basically, I have to be able to connect with both sides, provide to both sides whatever they need. Mainly, give to production what is it that they're going to need to be able to manufacture, whatever the product is.
Hmm.
But you got to be able to repeat it numerous times because of the high
Mm.
quantity and demand and all that stuff.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Um, so you went to school for that.
I went to school for mechanical engineering.
Okay, what's the difference
I,
between an engineer and a mechanical engineer?
Well, I mean, so okay, so engineering in itself is just it's a big. There's a lot of branches of engineering, right? You
Mm.
have industrial engineering, you have computer engineering, you have nuclear engineering, you have mechanical engineering, you have civil engineering. Um, there's so many branches of engineering, and so biomedical engineering. And so
Oh.
basically each one of these branches just goes into different fields trying to resolve issues that pop up. So how do we, let's say for example, uh, how do we make cars safer? We know that cars exist. How is it that we put engineering into that, right? So how do we solve this problem that we have? Because accidents are inevitable, right? People are going to have accidents, but how can we go in there and reduce the risk of something worse happening to a person, right? And that's where you have to do first. You have to do your research. You have to go and check what are the stats, then you have to go and start brainstorming. Then you bring everything together. You start coming up with different ideas. You put those into prototypes, right? Typically engineers like prototypes because that's where they trial and error sometimes, right? And then you do your analysis, right? Then you have to go and see, okay, well, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And so that's basically the gist. Again, there's more specifics to each
Your dad was
engineering.
doing engineering, right?
No.
That's what he was doing, though. I mean,
Nah, bro. Well,
when he
yeah, I
was
mean,
trying to fix the Astro,
yeah.
it sounds like he was following that process, kind of. I mean, he
He
wasn't like making parts, right? He wasn't I mean, he probably was buying
was
parts
trying.
if he thought that
Yeah,
he
man.
thought that he needed them, but he
Yeah,
was
nah.
something similar. Maybe not exactly the same thing, but
Yeah.
so what was I gonna say? Okay, so yeah, talk to us a little. You started to explain what inspired you to start photography, and the photography is mainly for the gram, right?
Well, so both of them became, so they kind of, so the way it started. So not to cut you off, I
No,
might as
of
well
course.
jump into this. So I graduated 2014, right? Let me just go back so that way I give people a little bit of insight. 2014, I graduate. By the grace of God, a couple of months later after I graduated, I was able to find a job, and I started working literally a couple of months after I graduated. You know how hard that is, especially to accomplish, because the we could say that the market, there's so many people that are in the market, and trying to find not just a job, but start their career, right? And so 2014, I'm doing that. I'm really focused on that, right? 2015 starts, right? I'm still working at my I'm actually currently working right now. But I move from a different within the department, but with different responsibilities, right? And so obviously learn more, right? I'm exposed to more stuff, right? Sometimes you come back with a little bit of a headache, right? Because those are the days that just like, there's so many difficult things you got to deal with, right? And so around that time, that's basically all I was doing, right? I'll go to work, come back, I would chill. I would go to church, right? But it was like, okay, that's basically it, right? Just go to work, spend time with my family, and just go through the motions, right? And so, during that was like the entire 2015. 2016 was the year when some of the missionaries at my parish, they're in charge of some other parishes as well. And in one of those parishes, they were going to have an event uh, that goes by the name, and we still do this every month, that goes by the name the Encounter. The meeting that I was just talking about to you earlier today, that was the meeting that I just came back from, because we were preparing for this upcoming this next encounter session, if you will, the Eucharistic adoration, and I could talk about that at a different time. But So went there, helped out. Typically, what I would do is literally go set up everything, set up the candles, set up the lights, set up the audio, help out with chairs, set up this and that, whatever, yada yada yada. And maybe from time to time, they would ask me to go ahead and talk and MC basically, right? Now, I think you had mentioned that you were very shy before, right? You had that you said that you weren't too amigable. It
I
was
wasn't
like
too
you were very
social.
yeah, social. And that was me. That was me at that time. And so I go and I'm trying to do these MCs, these sometimes they ask me to do reflections, right? Again, they know me, right? I know them, right? But for whatever reason, for I would always get nervous. Um, I would literally write out. I'm not even lying to you, bro. I would write out at least 3 papers, like on 3 different papers. All my notes of what I would say. Get to the encounter, start my reflection, and like in like 30 seconds into it, I'm like, what am I looking at? I don't know what I'm saying. So it was like that.
Mhm.
And I did that a couple of times, right? And on this one occasion, I was at the again, I was helping out. And this month in particular, I was rushing. Like I had come in late, it was a long day at work, right? I got there, try to help out as much as I could, right? And one of the missionaries, he was handling the photography for that event. Something happened. He was called over to do something else. He gave me the camera. He literally said, "Hey, Edwin, can you take photos today because they're calling me? I won't be able to take any photos." I'm like, bro, like I don't even know anything about photography, fam. Like you're asking me. It's like, listen, just press the button right here, just look at it,
It's
and
more than that,
it's
right?
more. It's more than that. It's a
I
lot more than
remember
that.
one time, not to cut you off, but I remember one time, like they gave me a camera. It's not like a phone camera. They gave me a camera one time to take pictures, and I didn't realize that like depending on how you push the button, it like focuses,
Yep.
right? So like I'm taking pictures, like it's a phone, and like all the pictures are out of focus. You know what I'm saying?
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. I definitely know
Yeah,
that.
continue. So they gave you the camera, and you're like, I don't know
Yes.
how to take pictures.
Yeah. I was like, all right, cool. You give me the camera. I'll try to do my best. Literally, I told him like, listen, bro, I apologize. Like right from now, from this moment, I apologize to you because if the photos come out wrong, hey, listen, I told you from the beginning, I don't have any skills in this. So he's like, listen, bro, don't worry about it. I understand what you might be feeling, but listen, just take the pictures. As long as you have it in the center in the frame, um, you'll be fine. Just press the button. Make sure you hear the click of the camera, and you'll be fine. So
Mhm.
okay. Now, one of the beautiful things about counter is that typically we have it's Eucharistic adoration, right? Um, but uh typically we try to, because we're in the city, there's so much going on, bro. There's so much in New York City, if you've ever been here, bro, is everything's flying left and right, man. It's a constant nonstop. So when you go into Eucharistic adoration, you kind of like step out of that craziness, bro.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're trying to accomplish with the encounter, right? We're trying to bring people closer to Christ, but also because we're in the city, we're trying to get them out of that
Fast pace.
stress. Yeah, all of that. And so we typically have all the lights turned off. We have
Mhm.
candles. We have lights pointing towards the altar, right, where the monstrance is at, with the
Mhm.
blessed sacrament, right. And so, and during that whole time, right, there might be somebody who maybe they're on the organ or the piano, you're just going, just playing some background music, but like just really in that there with Christ. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Don't make too much noise. Snap the photo, take it, move, get out the way, go to the other side, take some pictures. Boom, that's it. All right, started taking some pictures. Went to the other side of the church, snapped some more photos. Some of the people that were there, they were looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, and so now, mind you, I'm that shy type of a person. So now I'm like thinking to myself, "Crap, man, these photos are not gonna come out right." Dang it. So at that point, I kind of like hit away to the back, snap more photos in the back, right? And so it went like that for the for that portion of the encounter, right? And afterwards, we have the second portion is a performance, right? Some sort of artistic performance, either music, any type of artistic talent that a person might have. We try to showcase that afterwards, right? And so again, started snapping more photos. Brother comes back. He tells me, "Hey, Edwin, where's the camera?" "Oh, I left it right here. I put it on the table." "Hey, did you take all the photos?" I'm like, "Yeah, I took a couple." This is what I told him. I told him I took a couple of photos. He looks at it, "Bro, you took almost 600 photos. What are you doing?" Yeah, I kid you not.
How many photos were you supposed to take?
Bro, I was only supposed to take maybe like, if at anything, maybe like 50 to like 70 photos.
And you took like 50, goes into 600.
Almost 10 times more,
Yeah.
bro. Almost 10 times more. And so he's like, "What are you doing? Like, this is gonna take a long time for me to go, and I gotta check every photo and see which ones are good and which ones are bad." I'm like,
yeah, I mean, that's not something that you like. That takes a lot of time to pick out which one is the best one, or like the decent ones that you can use to. Yeah. So then what happened?
So then afterwards, he started looking. He checked all the photos, right? And he skimmed through a couple. He's like, "Wait, you took this one?" Like literally, he gave me that reaction. I'm like, "Yeah, why? What picture are you talking about?" He's like, and he shows me a picture. He's like, "Bro, did you take this?" I said, "Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that I snapped that picture upstairs." And he was like, "Bro, that's good. I don't know how you took that picture. You got to show me how you took that picture." So I was like, "All right, cool." Now that encounter, we ended, gave him the camera. I went my way, right? I didn't have a camera at that point. Come back the next month, right? We have another encounter, different setting, right? And what I mean by setting is we tried different colors. The setup will be a little bit different, right? And so,
just so I don't lose you, what year was this in?
2016.
Okay, 2016. So 1 month in 2016, you spontaneously were asked to take pictures. You did it. You took too many pictures, right?
Too many.
Then this was a brother that usually.
Yeah.
What do you mean by brother? Like, was he actually a religious brother?
So they take it's a group of missionaries that they're let me put it to like this. They're a religious missionary group. They and I can go on about them for a long time. Basically, they have different missions all over the world. Their headquarters, I think, are in Spain, and they have several headquarters. Well, actually, they have their headquarters in Spain, a couple of different European countries, and then even in Rome.
Wow.
And so, and they take a vocation of what is this? A vow of they take the vows of
Some are all
the
of
religious
them,
vows.
yeah, are all of them just brothers, or are some of them priests?
So yeah, so this is the thing, right? Some of them go on to become priests, right? Others are already priests, but they find out about the missionary group, and then they start joining and then become a part. But yeah, so some of them are religious brothers. Some of them are priests.
Yeah.
I know two of the when I say brothers, I mean religious brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They basically they're actually in the seminary right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're on their third or fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because the brother is always telling me like, man, I just finished this paper and I had to go and do my studies on this, and you know, he'll mention these different things to me. So I know that these two missionaries they're on their way to
Mm-hmm.
becoming priests. So I should pray for them.
Yeah, we should.
But yeah,
Yeah, so the religious vows are, I think, well, one of them is obedience, right?
yes,
Obedience
yes,
to the bishop, who's the local authority. The
yep,
other one is for the religious vows include poverty, which means
poverty, yep.
that they don't live above their basic necessities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything belongs to the community, and they only take what they need to survive. Like they don't buy like a nice hoodie just because they liked it on
Yep.
eBay, for example. The other one is celibacy. They can't get married
Yes.
or have kids. And there's one called I always mess this up, but it's called continence or cons consonance. It means that you don't have sexual like because they also do chastity, but everybody is supposed to be chaste. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
secular single people, religious single people because they take religious vows, priests, bishops, deacons, married people, men, women, everyone's supposed to be chaste, but they take celibacy, which means you don't have kids or get married. And within
Mm-hmm.
that one I always get the word mixed up. It's continence or consonance. It means that you don't have sexual relations and
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they take all of those vows. I think
Yeah.
the only difference between, for example, like your priest at your local parish doesn't take the vow of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
They're called a secular priest as opposed to a religious priest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I'm glad that I asked that question because I thought you just meant sometimes they have like lay groups and they call each other brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I typically even before I was involved, you know, learning about the church and all the religious orders, right? Typically, when we think about brothers, right, we automatically, at least for me, I get the idea of
Because they've
the
got the.
Franciscan, because they got the robe. You know,
Hmm.
even Benedictine brothers, right? They got the gray robe, right? And then you go on with the um all the different religious orders, right?
Hmm.
But one of the things that, from my understanding with this missionary group, right, their founder was really about trying to bring Christ to where we're at today, right? So where we are in the world today, right? Um, and so if let's say, for example, you work as a librarian, right? You
Hmm.
work as a librarian, you can bring Christ to the library
Hmm.
and be able to preach and show Christ in the library,
Yeah, you
right?
got to figure it out.
You exactly.
Hmm.
But then there's this formation as to how is it that you bring a preach Christ, if you will. Now you won't preach. I mean, technical terms here,
Preach the
but
gospel.
yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And so they focus on that. They're what is the charisma charism? Um, I'm trying to recall. I don't like I said. I'm not a religious brother. I
Hmm.
just happened to go to the parish that they administer, and
Yeah.
so that to me, when I got to that parish, I was like, what is this? Like, this is totally different. This is not your typical just regular priest, your priest that does mass on Sundays and that's it. And then you see him next week and then the week after and then the week after. No, like they're really, really involved in parish life and really connecting the faith with the
Yeah. Could I
the
ask you a question about that?
yep.
So you're saying you said when I got there I didn't know what this was, and my mind went to, this isn't your regular parish with a regular priest. They've got like this additional missionary religious brothers that are, I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that are kind of going extra, right, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that the gospel is preached at that parish. Do you think that had an impact on you?
Of course.
Yeah, like in what way? Like what makes that special to you?
Yeah, and let me just make this distinction, right? I'm not saying that if you just go to a any parish, right,
Mm-hmm.
that obviously it's not forming people the right way, right?
Mm-hmm.
For there was more. Let me just put it to you like that. There was more there in this parish. This had actually been our third parish now. And we live in an area where there's a lot of parishes. New York City, if you know anything about New York City, I mean, there's a lot of parishes out here. And after just like going back to like what I was telling you with the photography and stuff, I'm like, I don't see a lot of stuff coming out of New York City, but yet we have so many churches out here. We have so much over here that
That's a
isn't
great
just
point.
isn't being shown out there. So why can't we go out there and showcase this? Like this, people need to see this, and so, but going back to the parish life, it was something interesting that I found out later on with speaking with my mom, where I just flat out asked her, I'm like, why is it that we made it to this parish, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went to these other parishes first, but we never went over here first, right? And it was just a question. It was just like one of those inquiry questions, just trying to figure out like why didn't we do this first, right? And she wanted to explain that when we went to the other parishes, right? My dad had it in him that for him it was very important that church wasn't just a Sunday thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't. It felt our background, Mexican, in Mexico, there's a lot of stuff that happens with regards to like church, like a lot of feast days. There's a lot of fiestas around the feast days of the saints, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't typically have that over here. The closest one that you could think of is the Virgin Guadalupe, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
So go a little bit deeper for me. So when you say we don't have that over here, do you mean in the United States in general, or are you saying like in New York City?
no. Like and I think so. I might have to make a distinction because I can't speak for the rest of the United
Yeah.
States, but at least here in New York,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
something that now it's starting to be seen. Is being shown more, right?
I
Like
think you're
it
right.
happens more now. But what I'm talking about when we were growing up, I'm talking about like
Mm-hmm.
5 years old, 6 years old. Like that was never a thing back in the day, and so he had this conviction that he said, listen, we got to find the church, all right, where we're a little bit more active. We just feel part of the parish life, and that there's something more, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go to mass, right? So this is the idea that my mom explained it to me, right? We go to Sunday mass, right? We go there at noon. We would hear the priest. They would talk about Christ. They would talk about the church. They would talk about the saints. Mass would finish. I couldn't receive Holy Communion because I still hadn't done my first communion, right? We would greet the priest by the door, right? Once mass finished, right? Hey, how you doing? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you for your words. That's it. Boom. That's it. You walked out. That's the end of the Sunday. That was the end of church for that entire week. And when you're, I guess my back in Mexico, they experienced more of
Mm-hmm.
church life, if you will, parish life. And
Yeah, what's it called? There's a word for that. Fellowship.
yeah. Like there's something that he, I don't know if, again, this conversation I was having it with my mom, not with my dad directly, but he wanted that. He said, I want my children to grow up in the faith. even if I don't know it that well, I want them to grow up in it, right? I want them to know about
God bless
Christ.
him.
Yeah. And I'm telling you,
Shout
he's a
out,
simple,
pops.
yo, for real, for real. He's a simple man, man. I'm telling you right now, like
Me too.
he's very simple. Hey, listen, that is something
You too,
about it
bro.
that
Don't think I don't
I
remember your stories with the coffee. You're like I keep it simple.
keep
Coffee,
it. That's
a
it.
cream and sugar.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Nothing fancy. I'm the fancy
Nothing.
one with coffee, bro. I put the syrups and when I make it
Nice.
when I make it at home, I put the butter in there and I got
Oh,
a little hand
nice.
blender. You know what I mean? But hey, not to. But no, God bless your dad for real, bro. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like that's what I want for my kids too. So
Yeah, man. Nah, I mean, now that I'm older, right? That I look back at that moment and I say, man, if my pops didn't think like that when we were growing up, maybe our life journey would have been completely different, right?
Mhm.
And so I always now with everything, right? I always give thanks to God, right? Glory to God all the time. And everything that comes up, right? Glory to God. And obviously I'm not just saying it out loud, like I'm just, hey, glory to God, right? Like it's an intentional prayers that I set aside where I recognize what is it that I'm
Mhm.
blessed with, what I've gone through, and then I say intentional prayers, right? Glorifying God. And so going back to the parish, this was our third parish. Funny enough, the other parishes that we went to, they were pretty big churches.
Mhm.
Okay. Big churches, but it just wasn't there. We came to this third parish, and it happens to be the smallest out of all three of these. But yet it was like it was something different. It was something different. We couldn't put our finger on it. It was just the way that again, maybe it's the missionaries that were administering the church.
Mhm.
Um, maybe it was just something, but the parish life was really active. And I say that because I think the beauty of the church, right,
Mhm.
is that we just don't go to church on Sunday. We walk away the entire week. We go on about business, and then we come back the next week and we do the same thing over every week. Nah, the beauty about the church is that we're able to connect. We're prepared on Sunday, but now it's not just enough to go on Sunday. Now we want to go on Monday. Now we want to go on Tuesday, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, And so there's something to be said about the parish life at Santa Maria Parish. Um and there's again, it's just um they know us now for a long time. We've been at that parish for a long time now. But when we started back, I want to say back in like 2002, we started going to that parish. Bro, when we got there, we never thought we were gonna be there for that long, because we really thought that we weren't gonna find anything.
Mhm.
But glory to God, man. We
Glory to
we we
God.
we spoke with the priest. The priest would invite us to, hey, listen, we got this going on. We would like to see you come through. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I see that. And so they would invite my parents. They would have activities for the youth, right? So we would go. But again, we're starting to learn a little bit about this, and so you already know how, as young children, we would act when we would be forced to go to things that
Mhm.
we wouldn't want to go.
Mhm.
Man, why I gotta go? Why I gotta be here? Why do I gotta do this? Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Man,
surely
you know
enough,
what? When I used to sorry for interrupting, but when I used to teach catechism, bro, so I taught catechism a year before I got married. I think we were engaged that year and we were planning the wedding, and then we got married, and then I taught another year. And then my son was born, and I stopped teaching, and that was at my previous parish. After my son was born, we switched parishes. Um, but one of the things that I would try to tell the kids, and these were like middle school and some high school kids, very few high school kids, mostly older middle school, seventh, eighth grade, some sixth graders, not too many, and then some ninth graders, like not too many. That was the age range. It was bilingual. I was teaching in bilingual. Most of them would rather talk in English, but what I would try and like tell them is like, think about this. Like, and I'm not saying that I didn't do this. Like when I was a kid, I didn't want to go to church either, right? Like I would try to get out of it, like actively try to get out of it, and ask myself the same questions that you were just articulating. Why I gotta go, right? Like, you like it, mom. Why don't you go and you let me stay at home?
Yep.
But what I would tell the these young teens is, listen, like, do you believe that your parents want to give you what's best for you? Like, if your parents can give it to you and they think that's the best for you, like, do you think they're going to give it to you? Like, you think they're going to give you the best food they can give you? You think they're going to give you the best school they can give you? You think they're going to give you the best, just like the best help in general that they can give you? And most of
Mm-hmm.
them, they would say yes. But, when I would ask them, like, okay, so if they're bringing you here, like, don't you think that they think this is the best thing for you, right?
Facts.
And I didn't have too much pushback on that, but they still just didn't want to be there, So I think there's something to be said about like, like we can know something is true, but then we just have a hard time, I guess, accepting it, you know?
Bro, that what you're saying right there, that was one of the conversations I was just having with one of these missionary brothers, right? Not too long ago at the meeting,
Mhm.
where he talked about how the us humans were made of three different aspects. Like we have three different components that make us human, right?
Mhm.
We have the body, we have the soul, and we have the spirit, right?
Mhm.
And so the body and the soul, right? That's what we have physically, that's given to us by our parents, right? That's given to us. The physical, that we receive, this is something tangible that we can feel. And then the spirit, obviously, we receive that from God, right? And so he went in depth, but it goes back to the point that our faith is for the mature minded. I wouldn't say minded, but like the more mature. Oh man, what's the word? I don't have. But
Yeah,
there
I
has to
get.
be a maturity level. There has to be
Mhm.
a maturity level for it
Oh,
to be like
let's
eclipse.
let's let's simmer in that. So when you say this, so we're talking about there has to be a mature level, but somebody might get it at 15, somebody might get it at 20, somebody might get 25, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to.
So yeah,
Go ahead.
so I mean that's one of those things that I had a conversation. I want to say, oh man, it was a while back, and the conversation revolved around like what is it that we need to do to be able to attract more of the younger, more of the youth, more of the younger kids. What is it that is working? What is it that is not working? Right? And we talked about this, right? But it was like I'm trying to discussion was like a one-on-one, but somebody, I think it was one of the brothers, they made the point that, listen, our faith has a level, you need to have a certain level of understanding for
Mhm.
you to grasp what
Mhm.
it is that Christ represents, right?
Mhm.
You show somebody a cross, you get different reactions, right? A mature person will look at that cross and automatically think about Christ, Jesus Christ. Like the cross symbolizes Jesus Christ, right? That's how, or Christianity, right? Or Catholicism, right? If you show that symbol to somebody who's not mature, they'll look at it and say, oh, that's this. It's just a T. It looks like a T.
Mhm.
And so, like you said, there's people that at a very young age mature because of
Mhm.
their circumstances, but that even at their young age they grasp it, right?
Mhm.
And then you see those instances, right, when like you get to speak to people who are a lot younger than you and they're like on fire for the faith, right? But then
Mhm.
you're like wondering like, yo, like how the heck is it that, like you said, how is it that they're so on fire,
Mhm.
and yet I wasn't like that when they at their age. Like, what is it? But you go back to their own experiences. They went through that maturity process, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a right or wrong thing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just the way that we grow up, right? Our circumstances
Yeah.
affect us in that manner. So
Yeah. So to kind of keep talking about what you're talking about, when you and the brothers were having this conversation as to how do we get, you know, young people to come to church, or
mhm,
to come to to come to Christ and his church,
mhm.
right? Like basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to replicate that maturity process for them to be able to accept the gospel. And that's the tricky part.
So
That's
and
the
so
very tricky part. You know what I mean?
yeah.
How do we get someone to the point where when they see the cross, they automatically think Catholicism, Christianity, Christ, church, gospel. You know what I mean? It's
And so he but here's the twofold part to this, right? There's a second part, there's a secondary part to this, right?
Mhm.
Because we're humans, right? We experience everything real time, you know. Everything that we go through, we real time we experience it, right? And so the second part to that is that, okay, if it doesn't work, okay, how can we make sure that what we're doing doesn't discourage us? Those
Mhm.
results at that moment doesn't discourage us from continually trying different things. And
Mhm.
so that conversation, you know, it was a while back, so I can't recall every single detail that was made, but I walked away with, okay, this is gonna be a difficult task, no question about that,
No
because
question.
think about it, right? The society that we're uh you know, everybody's exposed to, right? Everything that is going on in society, right? It has a lot of influence on on everybody, but on the
Mhm.
younger kids, you know, in a more profound way, right? And
Yeah.
so and so think about it, right? All social media, right? Everybody, all the younger kids that like TikTok, right? Like
Mhm.
that's and that has a major influence on their upbringing, right? And so again, we talked about this even before we started the podcast,
Right.
where we said that social media can be used for good. I mean, there's
Mhm.
social media when used the proper way, it can be a force for good. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I see all the stuff that goes on where, oh, you know, social media is bad or whatever, and you know, this and that. And when I say, wait, hold up, it's the way that we use social media, we could do positive things with it. But I digress.
Mhm.
Um, but going back to this, right? We were trying to we're trying to see how is it that we attract more of the youth, right? Because that's the church, right? They are the church. We are the people who are in charge in the church. And I'm gonna bring the story up because I just remembered about this, right?
Yeah, go ahead. I love
The
stories.
first the first year that I started helping out
Mhm.
at
At the
the faith
parish,
at no
at the
catechism.
encounter. Oh,
Yeah,
catechism.
catechism.
Okay.
Now this is afterwards. This is already we're in the
So
parish.
the encounter was around you helped when you started taking
2016.
2016. So when did you start doing catechism?
So catechism came around around the same time frame, like
Like
2016.
later in the year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right, continue.
So and what ended up happening is that so the director, right, the director of the program, he said, listen, I would love your help, but are you able to work with uh, you know, kids who have, let's say, a disability? I said, like, listen, man, I try my best. I've never worked, you know, with certain disabilities, or I've never even worked, um, you know, what I think the kid had autism. I think,
Hmm.
um, and so, man, when I tell you, I learned a lot more from that kid than I hope I taught him. I hope I taught him well. But man, did he teach me a lesson for a lifetime, man. Yeah, we were just talking about the maturity level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would talk about Christ for as long as we were able to have the class, right? From we would start at 10:15 till 12 noon, because at noon we would have the mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to go to mass. We would have to send everybody to go over to mass. And so literally I would be talking about the church, the saints, the sacraments, Christ,
Mm-hmm.
Mother Mary, Saint Joseph, um, anything that had to do with the faith. And it was like he would be teaching me some of these things. He would just be like understanding some of these things, and then he would bring up conversations that he had with his mother, with his mom, and his dad. And I'm like, man, like, wait, how is this? Like, I'm supposed, you're in that moment, you're trying to teach them, but it's like they kind of knock you back, and they tell you like, hey, listen, there's more for you to learn. Like that experience in itself, you need this, right? You need this. Now, I don't know. I can't go back. Well, it was now 5 years now, right? 2016, right? I can't go back 5 years and remember where my mind was, but I can tell you at that point, it was not where it is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to this maturity level, right? We can't underestimate it, but we can't overestimate it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
We can't, and like you said, it's the tricky part in that, right? Like how can we determine how we're gonna transmit the gospel to the kids? How is it that we do it so that they can understand, they grasp it, and then they become missionaries, they become preachers of the gospel, right? When they go out into their part of the world, right? And so it, that was one of the big things, at least in the parish life, that I think the parishes that have, let's say, religious orders that are administering those churches, they're able to provide more of that to parishioners. And it's not
You mean that balance of not overestimating and underestimating it?
yeah
Yeah, that
because
makes sense.
think about it, right? They're able to sit down with somebody, right? Let's just say have a simple conversation, right? In my case, right, there was the missionary that helped out with the youth groups was a different person that helped out with the, let's say, the adult groups, right? They would have they would have talks, sessions. Sometimes they would just have a let's say they would invite everybody on a Friday night, right? Just bring whatever you want. We just come together and we just literally just talk about, hey, we just have conversations, right? But like those experiences, when you're doing them outside, they're fine. But for some reason, it seems a little awkward when you go into the church, right? Why? Because it's not done that often, right? And so people are like, wait, we can do that here? We can talk about this?
Yeah, I see
And
what you're
so
saying.
you have to change that. You have to change that. We as a church, we have to change that perception. That perception.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna use, I think, a harsher word, but I think that's a flaw, bro. Like, unfortunately, right? Like, um, and that's not to, like you said, it's not to bash parishes, because I love my parish, right? And my parish doesn't have a missionary, brothers like yours. But if like you're saying, if we want young people to come to church, but when we invite them to just have a conversation and chill, right, in the church, and they're like, wait, we can chill in the church? Wait, we can have conversations like in the church? Like you said, we're doing this right now outside of church. If we were doing this in a parish and we felt uncomfortable, then that's something that we need to take a look at, like you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah. And
continue,
so,
bro.
yeah. So, we, these overall, you know, from that moment on, right, till now, right, 2002, we joined Santa Maria, right. We've been at that parish for ever since then, since 2002. So you can do the math. What 19 years now.
Mm.
And the parish life was just completely different, you know. Again, maybe at the time when we went to these other parishes, it wasn't there yet. You know, things did change afterwards in those other parishes, but by then we were already so involved in our own parish that it was just like, well, we got these things going on over here that it's like, you know, we can't, we don't have enough time now, right? And
Yeah,
so
so would you say that, okay, so you guys were sold on Santa Maria Parish because your dad was looking for more, just more involvement in the parish life. You guys found Santa Maria Parish, and because of these missionary brothers, there's this, there's other activities, but there's also the encounter that they do um, every
so
month and stuff like that. And
yeah.
so, like, what, put it a little bit in, like, put it a little bit in order for me. So your dad found this parish because he was looking for parish life.
My mom
Um,
actually found the parish.
okay, your mom found the parish, and
Yeah.
then you noticed that it was different, that they
Mm-hmm.
were doing something a little bit extra,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of better terminology.
Mm-hmm.
That had an impact on you. Then you started volunteering in the encounter, and then you
No,
start. Okay, okay, go
so
ahead.
we joined back in 2002, right?
Hmm.
2002, 2009. The encounter was 2016, right? So
Hmm.
there's a big gap right there.
Yeah. So.
2009, 2009, and I'm gonna bring this up as short as possible, right? So that missionary group it was gonna celebrate its 50th anniversary,
Hmm.
and they were gonna have they were gonna be guests, and they were gonna have we're gonna sit close to the Pope and his general audience. So you
Hmm.
know how the Pope, well, before when things were normal, he used to have a general audience
Hmm.
every so often, right? And and like, you know, in St. Peter's Square, they set up the chairs right outside the basilica,
Hmm.
right outside the church. And you know, the Pope is there sitting, and you know, he'll address the people in the crowd, he'll address some intentions, right? um and so to celebrate their uh more than anything, I wouldn't say celebrate, I think more than anything, offer it up, right?
Hmm.
They wanted this missionary group wanted to go to Rome and have and receive a blessing, right,
Hmm.
for everything that they were able to, you know, accomplish, right? In relatively a short period of time, right? We're talking about, at that point, 2009 was 50 years, so they were formed in 1959, which when you think about it is not that long ago.
It's not that long, no.
And so we um I don't know if to say this, but I don't like I'm not a huge fan of flying.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, grace of God, I ended up going to out of all places, going to Rome. Enkindled my curiosity even more, and I even got a chance to see at that point, Pope Benedict XVI at that point, but Pope Emeritus Benedict the
One of the
16th,
one of the goats.
bro. And when I went there, bro, like, this is the type of stuff that I tell you that these are the moments that I wish I would have acted a little bit more mature. I go back to
Hmm.
this point that my maturity level was not there. I
Hmm.
thought I knew, but I didn't. I didn't know. I didn't have that maturity level, right? Because I went and we got a chance to go to the catacombs, bro. The catacombs where the Christians went to live, because if you remember, there was a lot of persecution in the
Hmm.
early days of the church, when they started going after all the Christians, right? Where
Hmm.
would they meet? They would go into these catacombs. They would have masses down there. People were living down there for years and years on, you know, and stuff. And even people who were said to be like they were going after the Christians. They would secretly Christian though. They would go down there and go to mass, receive the Eucharist, and then they would go outside and act like everything's normal. But I went there. I wasn't mature enough to even understand that I went there. I was there where those Christians lived. I'm talking about the year 200. Okay, I got a beautiful opportunity to go to Assisi, the St. Francis of Assisi's town. Okay, I get there and I'm like, man, I don't want to go here. I'd rather be in Venice. Right there's a trip to go to Venice. Right, if you wanted to go on a free day, go to Venice or go to Assisi. But again, I went with my chaperone, right? Because he needed to be there. I needed to be there with him because I wasn't older than 18, right? And so I had to go with him wherever he went. I had to go. So he went to Assisi, and let me tell you that even that moment, I was like, man, why I gotta be here, man? I'd rather go over there. I'd rather be chilling with the people, going taking flicks and all this stuff, right? But when I got there, I didn't comprehend the beauty of the church. I went into the Basilica of St. Francis. I went to the crypt of St. Francis, bro. Like where he's buried. I went there. I prayed. Even just a little bit. I got a little mature at that moment. I said, yo, let me pray for my family. Let me pray for I got my little intentions.
Is Assisi St. Francis, is he a doctor of the church?
No.
Okay.
Saint Anthony of Padua is a doctor of the church.
Nice.
But
not Assisi, right?
No, no, not Saint Francis.
But still a saint. That is like when you're at the I haven't made it out there, but Venerable Fulton Sheen, who's not beatified yet, they have his body in Peoria, Illinois, which is not that far from where I live, and I haven't gone there. But if I went there, that's what I would do, is I would pray. You know what I mean? But continue.
Man, yeah, bro. And so, I walk outside, right? Afterwards, we go to the Basilica where St. Clair of Assisi is buried, right? We go and see they have the cross, the cross that of that St. Francis that St. Francis received, the Franciscan cross. Afterwards, we refer to it as.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
man. What is it called?
It was a beautiful cross, and we go into the Basilica, right? And Assisi, I don't know how to describe it. I think the closest way that I can describe it is like if you went in a time capsule back into like the 1200s, bro. Like that little town is old school, and I'm like, dang, this is amazing. Like this feels good. But there's something that struck me when I was there at the Basilica of St. Francis, where outside they have like a villa, I think it's called.
What is a villa?
It's like I could be saying I could be referring to the wrong word here. So, but it was like a space that's given right outside the church for people to just gather. There's extra space right there. Again, I know for a fact I'm definitely wrong with this, so don't quote me on that. But I went outside the Basilica after I had prayed and asked for the intercession of St. Francis, right? And I go outside, sunny day, bro. I don't know how to describe this to you, bro. It was like the Assisi is up like on a mountain range, right? And picture like you're up higher up than your typical towns that are more like not on the mountain ranges, right? And you walk over to like the end of this, where we can walk to, and it's basically a cliff down. And I see like a mountain range on my left hand. On as far as I can see, it's green trees. The sky was blue. no clouds. I see the sun. It's like a brisk, cool day. And I felt like this little breeze, bro. I don't know how to describe it. It was just like that moment, something just like something went like that in my head.
The combination of everything happening at the same
Yeah,
time. You had
yeah.
just prayed to, you had just asked for St. Francis of Assisi's intercession.
Intercession,
You
yeah.
walk out, there's the villa, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
would say, yeah.
and
I walk out there.
it's a beautiful day. You're feeling this like this breeze that seems to be like just right, and so just
Ye-
the combination of all these things
Yeah,
made you
yeah.
feel like like it was like an experience, or how do you want to describe it? Experience, encounter.
It was an experience. I want to say it was an experience right there that of uh, I don't know what peace feels like, because I don't think
Mm,
us as humans know what peace looks like, right?
mhm.
But if there's anything that I could closely describe what peace feels like, I think that's that feeling that I felt that moment.
Okay, yeah,
And,
let's talk
and
about that. So, I mean, yeah, that's a great point. That because this is the way that I'm gonna put it, because somebody put it to me this way, and I thought it was funny but true. But like, it kind of seems like our world is half insane, right? So in a world like that, it's kind of hard to feel peace, or to be, or to know if you're in a state of peace, which I think is a great point. Like what you're saying, like me, like a lot of times when I feel at peace is like, I don't know if you had this experience. Is like I go to confession and I think I did my confession well, and I get absolved, and I like walk out and I do my penance, and I feel like like I feel like a sense of like peace,
yeah,
like a
like
way. So what you're saying is like it's more than that. This experience was like
eh,
more than that.
this was way more than that, man. This,
Mm,
like, I think what you're describing, what you were saying in confession, when you come up out of there, is like you had a ton of bricks on your shoulders,
mm-hmm,
and those bricks got taken off your shoulders, and you walking free now. You're
mm-hmm.
walking around
It's a good way to put it.
like, dang, this feels good. This feels good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel light. I don't have no trepidations about anything. I don't have anything that's bothering me, right? I just feel light, right? I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But this was more than that, bro. Like, and that's the thing that I maybe, again, maybe I just didn't have the right words to describe it at that point. But when I tell you that that feeling was something that I felt, and I still think about it to this day. Sometimes when I tell the story, you know, it's like it was just right. It was just right. It
It's
just
just right.
it was just right. You're like there, and time didn't feel like was moving. It's something. It's
Mm-hmm.
something.
Let's
Words can't describe peace
let's
like
keep
that.
talking about this. So you have this experience at St. Francis of Assisi's, like, so
Outside the basilica, yeah, yeah.
outside the basilica, like, what if it's like,
And
well, that's one experience, like,
that
have
was
you,
one of the major. Yeah, that was one of
but
my
yeah, but that's
major.
what I'm saying, like, someone might be like, well, Edwin, that's one experience, like, how, like, have you had another one? And if you haven't had another one, like, are you chasing that, or like, what makes you keep, what makes you like, what makes you that stay in the faith after that? You know what I mean?
So I always talk about how the family is like and I think that there's a way of saying this, right? The family is the most important uh part of a society, right? Because without families, societies don't flourish, right? They don't grow, and you see, more than anything, you see a lot of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will try to disagree with that, but that's just the plain facts. And so I did experience something else like that, and I want to say that was more of an intimate experience when, I was with my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell I you see, I'm gonna make this analogy. I'm gonna make this quick analogy, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like, let's say, for example, you go work out, right? Anybody that goes to work out understands that when they start, right? Let's say the person has never started working out, right? We've always had that thought in the back of our heads before we started working out consistently. Dang, that first workout is gonna suck. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be the worst. Right?
What's the point?
Exactly. Exactly, right? And so you build off of that, right? The first day is not that great, right? The next day after that, what happens? Your body is sore. You don't even want to get up. You don't want to go, because I'm gonna tell you this: you work out on the afternoon, you go shower. When you go to sleep that night and you wake up the next day, boy, your muscles is hurting. Your muscles are
until you get the juices flowing again, until you like start moving again. That's right.
Exactly. And then, if let's say, for example, when let's say if I go in crazy hard on my back, right? Like I just focus on my back today, right? When you wake up, it feels like you can't even move around. You're like stuck like this, bro. But you build off of that, right? You start off first day, second day, third day, fourth day, blah, blah, blah. It just keeps going up, right? And the same thing with our spiritual life, right? A lot of people will always question and say, well, Edwin, why is it that you have such a different outlook than I have, right? You've had experiences, I've lost family members, right? I've they passed on, right? So I understand what that feeling is like, right? I understand that's a part of life, right? I understand the reality of that part, right? But I also understand the other side, right? The beauty of life, right? The blessings that God gives us every day, right? And it's a relationship. And any relationship, and you know this better than anybody, Dani, that in a relationship, it has to be active, it has to be consistent, and you have to put your effort every single day. Without those ingredients, relationships die.
I like that. I like that because let me tell you what. Can I tell you why I like it?
Yeah.
So it was active, consistency, and effort every single day. And you were talking about how, like, before you start working out, you're like, what's the point? I already know I'm going to be sore. I already know I'm going to be sweaty. I already know I'm going to be tired. I already know I'm going to be out of breath, right? The next day it's going to be worse than the first day because, like, at least right now I feel fine. Once I work out and let my body rest, like, the workout is going to catch up to me. It's going to make me sore. I'm not going to be able to move, right?
Yep.
But if you don't build up that actively with consistency and effort, you're always gonna like have that feeling because you're not gonna like build. And like you had that experience outside the Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi, and now you've been building on that relationship with Christ actively, consistently, and with effort every day, like as much as we can, right? Like we don't do it perfectly, right?
Yep.
And that's why we have confession. And then you were also, so I mean, I actually think you made 3 analogies, bro. Like because you made the workout analogy, and then you were tying it to your relationship with Christ that started with this. By the way, the cross is called the Saint Damien cross.
San Damiano.
San Damian cross. I looked it up.
San Damiano cross,
And then you also tied in marriage. Like, yeah, like when you first like fall in love, those feelings go away. You know what I mean? They last a pretty good while. It's not like they go away overnight, but one day you're just like, it's not as strong.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And if you don't then actively and consistently put in effort, you're gonna lose your wife. You're gonna lose your husband. You're gonna lose your marriage. Same thing with your relationship with Christ. Same thing with your workout. So I love everything you just said, bro. Continue.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Hey, and so you have to pursue it, right? You have to pursue it, right? And everything that I'm trying to get to this point, right? That I'm trying to explain is that when I started trying to figure out, okay, what does the faith offer to me, right? What is it that it's offering me? What is it that it's trying to do? What is it that what's my purpose for being here on Sundays and hearing these stories about this man named Jesus and that he died for us, right? Like, what's the crux of it? Like, what is in it for me, right? Because everybody's selfish. Everybody's selfish. I'm selfish. I'll be the first one to tell you that.
Me too.
I'll be selfish. And so the question is like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? Right? I know about Christ. What am I going to get out of it? Right. But then that when I had that experience and I came back and I came back from Rome, I met a ton of people, right? I made a lot of connections, right, with different people from different parts of the world. But that wasn't the thing that stuck with me, right? Like I made those I made those friendships, right? But that wasn't the thing that stuck with me. What stuck with me was when I went to pray at the crypt of St. Francis. What stuck with me was me seeing the San Damiano cross in the Basilica of St. Clare of Assisi, right? And what stuck with me was I even got a chance on the second to last day that we were in there in Rome, the second to last day when we had the general audience with the Pope, and I literally got to see the Pope like real up close. And I've been blessed to see actually both Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI that close, and Pope Francis came over to New York City. And my mom and I think I went with a couple more people.
I'm gonna start hanging out with you, bro, so I can meet a Pope. Real talk, bro.
Hey, man, I don't know how that happens. It's too, because it's like they always talk about the Pope is like.
I think that's cool, bro. I think that's hella cool. And if I can meet, and like, I mean, I want to hang out with you anyway, but if I can hang out with you and meet a Pope, I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, nah, man. So it was that experience right there. I got to see the Pope Benedict XVI that close, and then we got a chance to go into St. Peter's Basilica. Let me tell you, I've never seen a church as big or bigger than that church. Okay, I go in there, La Pietà, right? The sculpture that I think, I'm not sure, Da Vinci made for where Mother Mary is holding Christ after he was brought down from the cross. Yeah. You go up further up, like closer to like the main altar, right? They have a bronze sculpture of Saint Peter, right? And you look at his foot, because everybody passes by there and they go and they touch the Saint Peter, and then they do the sign of the cross, right? You look at his foot and it's like so gone from so many people that touch his foot every day.
Oh, like it's worn off?
It's worn down, bro.
Like what was does the sculpture have like layers of paint and then they wear off?
No, it's like bronze. It's like
so it's
like
almost like cars that get rusted, right?
No,
but it's not rusted, but I mean, like from the people touching it, it's changed. So there's
it's softened. Yeah, it's softened up a lot. So you look at his foot and it's like, that's not his foot, but it's his foot because of the way that St. Peter's sitting on the chair, right? And then afterwards, you go down. See if I remember. You go downstairs, and that's where they have the crypts of the rest of the popes that were entombed there, right? And at that point, if you remember, 2009 was 4 years after Pope John Paul II passed. And so fresh in our memories, right? I went there and they told us this is where Pope John Paul II is buried. Now here's the thing that caught me off guard too, that I was kind of like not prepared, again, not mature, my mind wasn't in it there. And I'm there, and the people, what they were doing is, because a lot of people were going to see his crypt specifically, they actually they put like these what they call them, stanchions, where they stop people from going into the actual crypt, right? And so what the people were doing is they would pass by and they would take a piece of paper, write down pray petition, and then toss it over to where the crypt was at, and would ask for the intercession of St. John Paul the second. And I'm there, right? I'm looking at everybody now, me being a follower. Again, young kid, not mature, just being a follower. I was like, yo, I don't have a paper. I don't have a pen. Let me get a pen. Let me get a paper. Let me write this down. And I kid you not, I think I don't remember exactly what it was that I wrote. I asked for like, pray for, man, something like along the lines of like the health of my family. Pray, you know, prayers for, you know, something like grow up and be successful, something like that. And I don't know.
Look at you now, bro, an engineer.
Hey man, appreciate that. Prayers
answered.
Prayer work. Hey,
shout out John Paul II.
Hey, amen, bro, amen. And so I literally put that there. Obviously, you fold it up, right, and then you just went, tossed it over, did the sign of the cross real quickly, and then kept it moving because there's so many people that were going there. That line, you got to keep it moving. And you know, they got the people, they have people police security, I don't know what it's called, but they're there just making sure that people don't try to hop over and try to either take a picture or do whatever the case may be. You know, so you know how people are get like that. So again, it was just you know, little by little, those experiences that I brought back with me when I came back from Rome. And after that, I was just like, yo, man, there's something here. There's something here that I gotta find. I wanna find out. I wanna talk. I wanna learn about. I want others to experience this also. I don't know how I'm gonna get to that point, but you know what? Let me start off with that. And man, glory to God. It's been a consistent every day now. I don't know. It's just perspectives change, man. Perspectives change.
Let's again put this in order. So you brought up in the faith, correct? And your conversations between your mom and your dad kind of liked the parish life in Mexico, where there's feast days and families are more active in the parish. They wanted that for you and your siblings. They looked for parishes. The third one that they looked for, your mom found Santa Maria, right? You noticed that it was different, and then you got to go to Rome, and you had this experience outside of the Basilica for Saint Francis of Assisi, but you also collected these other experiences, going to the Basilica of Saint Peter, touching his foot, going to the crib of there was another saint from Assisi, but also from
Saint Clare,
the Pope John Paul II. You got to see the Pope, right? So when you came back, that's when you were like, oh, there's something here that I need to keep searching for. And that's when you became active in the parish. And then you started helping out with the encounter, doing the reflections. You were asked to take the camera, right?
Go back to that part before the encounter, right?
Okay,
2016, right? I told you I graduated in 2014, right?
That's right.
So college came through 2010 to 2014.
Like a wrecking ball that came through.
Oh man, when I tell you that I lost that I had gained in 2009, taking it and build off of it in 2010. When I went to college, you know, it's I never say that, you know, God makes good out of anything. He brings good from everything, right? Everything and anything, right? And so even though during those years in college, you know how college life is, you know, and it always stuck in my mind that during the difficult moments, I say, you know what, let me pray. I had this beautiful image and I gave it to my brother, and he has it now. It's the image of Jesus knocking on the door. I bought that one time, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the Divine Mercy. We're over here in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. They have a beautiful It's like a pilgrimage site, like a little spot. And
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go, it's like you have to go. It's like a whole day. It's a whole day thing, and you know, I bought it there. I brought it back with me. Got it blessed. Now all my images I get it blessed, right? All my scapulars.
Standard now. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
got it. Just got it.
Gotta do it.
Got it. Even a car, bro. Even a car. Got to get
Yeah,
it blessed.
actually,
man.
so my parish priest is coming over in 3 days to bless the house, and I'm gonna ask him to bless the car too. So you know what I'm saying, everything. So continue.
Hey,
so you're talking about the image and
yeah, so I brought that back and I had that and I always said I said to myself that while I would be in college, I would build a little I wouldn't say an altar, but a little un altar.
Yeah.
Un little spot, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a little crucifix, my rosary, my prayer cards, my little Bible, I had my little New Testament, right? I had a couple of other images, right? And I had that image. It was like a pretty big size print. And so during those years, right, when I would go through difficult moments, I always said, you know what, if I have the opportunity to go back home, go to mass, and I come out like refreshed again, like it will, like Christ was holding me down. You know what I'm saying? And those are difficult times when you're like, I'm not used to being away from my family like that. At that point, I wasn't used to that. And so it was a difficult transition for me, right? Mm-hmm. And so the biggest thing that I really relied on was talking with my family, but then praying. And I recall that during the years that I went through like some just like, you know, difficult times, typical and difficult times, right? Sometimes I would just get this weird inspiration, right? Friday night, 6 p.m. at night, right after class, right? If I had a Friday night class, right? I'd be like, you know what? I want to go back home. I'm just driving back home. Now, college, it was here in New York State. It's a different part of New York State. Everybody, a lot of people think New York City is like the end all to be all of New York.
But yeah, that's what I think, bro. I've never been out there.
Yo, and so, you know, they got other cities. I know you've heard. Maybe you've heard of Albany, right? Buffalo, Syracuse, Long Island, right? So New York State is pretty big, and so I literally went to like the smack center of New York State, Utica. And Utica is like 4 hours north of New York City. So if I ever wanted to go back home, it was going to be a 4-hour trip. No question about that. So literally, I would feel this little inspiration to be like, you know what? I'm not feeling like, man, I want to spend my weekend here. Like, you know what? I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And I would just drive back home, go just literally be there for 2 days, bro. Go to mass on Sunday, and then I'm out in the afternoon. If I wasn't out in the afternoon, I'd be out on Monday morning, right? Or Sunday night. Drive, you know, like that, the whole 4 hours back north. And you know, I got a chance to see some beautiful sunrises driving back north. So there was something to be said about how during that time, even though I had kind of grown a little bit away from the faith, right? That Christ was always there. Christ was always there.
And, man, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I made a reel about this, and I feel like sometimes, not just with you, but, you know, with our other like Catholic brothers and sisters on the gram, you know, sometimes I talk about this, and like how I describe what you're talking about is like the Lord, for some reason, like he's relentless with me. Like he won't get, like, it's almost like he's obsessed with me, and even more when I say no, right? And when I'm talking about that is like, if I choose mortal sin over the Lord, which I've done countless, which I've done countless times, and then I've got to repent and go to confession. It almost seems like on a day-to-day basis, like what you're talking about, how it's got to be consistent, it's got to be active, it's got to be effort, right?
Yeah, put
Like on a
effort in.
day-to-day basis, I actually don't feel like the Lord is pursuing me, right? But as soon as I say no to him, and I need to go to confession and I need to get in right relationship with him, I feel him like almost like screaming for me to come back. And I think that's what you're talking about, that like even though you had this amazing experience at Rome, and then you went to college and you kind of not forgot about it, but you weren't putting in that effort. It wasn't active. You weren't staying consistent. The Lord was still, like you said, like the picture knocking, right? And every so often you'd be like, I gotta drive home. I gotta go to mass.
That's it.
That's how I like describe it. And I like, it resonates with me because that's how I feel
Yeah,
sometimes.
man. Funny enough, the one of the missionaries said he said a phrase something like along the lines of, "You got to fight with God. You got to fight with God. Like you're wrestling. It's not like you're actively like you're wanting to.
You don't
You're
want to
fighting
beat
against him.
him.
No.
Uh-huh.
He's helping you build you up, But I think of like, let's say for
And
example
sometimes you
when
don't agree. And that's
yeah
the
yeah
fight.
yeah
Yeah, sometimes you're like, nah,
yeah
God,
yeah
like I don't wanna
yeah.
you know what I
But
mean?
like, think about it with
Mhm.
your let's say with your son, right? Like with your
Mhm.
son, you'll play around with him, right? You're stronger than your son, right?
Yeah.
But then you let your son come, you're like, he falls over
Yeah.
your heads, and you're like,
That's true.
you give him that sensation that he's like, oh, I'm strong, right? And
Mhm.
but the whole time that you had part in that, right? That you're
Yeah.
you're building him up, and that's what I was thinking about when he said that
Yeah, that's
phrase,
true.
and so, I mean, those 4 years, like I said, college, I got through those 4 years. Then I came back 2015, 2016, counter, start the photography joint. And then from there, it grew into the video work because my
Mhm.
boy was asking me to go ahead and put in, give him some videos, just record some stuff.
Mhm.
And then my obsession, and sometimes it is my downfall a little bit. It's trying to be a perfectionist sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to get the best shot that I could, and try to get the best angles, and then that just turned into me going all out into the content creation world, which is what I'm doing now, right? I'm trying
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
trying
but that's not, to me, bro, that's, by the way, that's the conversion story, right?
to.
That's the conversion story right there. So like you, after your amazing experience in Rome, you came back, and like you said, you were like, in your mind, you were like, I gotta do some more digging because there's something special here. But
Hmm.
then college, and in
Hmm.
college you had that fight with the Lord that you described, with like me and my son, and like every father and their son, that all of us still have, right? When we're not being consistent, when we're not being active, and we're not putting in effort.
Hmm.
And then after college, 2015, 2016, the encounter, photography led to video, and here we are today.
Um,
What I wanted to say is, um, with the content creation, I actually just recently noticed, because like I always wondered what the numbers were at the top. I'm like,
oh,
where is he counting from? And with this new year, I was like, I think I started scrolling through the feed, and I started noticing that, like, oh, I was like, I found it, I think, where when you restarted from 2019 to 2020, and I'm like, oh, he's got a picture for
every single
every
day,
single day,
bro.
and then but now that we're in 2021, now you've been blessed with
Reset.
more, yeah, reset.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's good that you have all these shots, bro, because now you got a now you got a shot for every single day. That's what
Yeah,
I wanted to
man.
say about that. So.
Yeah. So I mean, just to like compartmentalize and kind of like put a little bow on this story, right?
Mhm.
You know, the social media world. I was having this conversation with somebody else. Again, I always like to to kind of get to know people, because I know that You know, there's obviously we were all created by God, and we have that intrinsic touch. We have that we're made by God, right? We have God with us, right? And so, you know, this think of what I was gonna say. Go back.
Pandemic?
No, not the
The
pandemic.
content
No,
creation?
the content creation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm talking about this the relationship, how it has to be consistent, right? And when I started that, when I said, you know what, let me be very active with social media. They made the point, something like, this person made the point that yada yada yada, something like, you, man, what you're doing is like super hard, posting every day, putting the number to it, right? Where did you get that inspiration from? I was like, let me put it to you like this. You have somebody that loves you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That person loves you sometimes or all the time. And they're like, well, I hope all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If they love you all the time, right, then they putting in that work, right?
Every day.
Every day. And we go back to this point. Consistent, with effort and
Yeah. When you first said it, it was active, consistent, and effort, and I kind of like that order.
Active, consistent.
Hey, bro,
Active,
do me a
consistent.
favor. Do me a favor. Put that on a tee, bro.
I got you, bro.
Honestly, bro, put it on a tee. Put it on a
Active,
tee and
consistent,
drop
with
it.
effort. I got you. I got you.
Merch for 2021 coming out.
Matter of fact, we'll talk about this. But hey, if anything, you could take this. You could take this.
Why can't it be ours, bro?
Hey, we could do something. Hey,
Why
we
can
can
it
figure
be?
that out.
It can be ours, bro.
Got
Active,
you.
consistent effort.
Yeah.
That's when you first said it, it was like, but yeah, finish up, bro. Go ahead.
So I told this person, I'm like, we see so much stuff out there, right? We see so much stuff every single day. It's nonstop, bro. Social media is nonstop.
Nonstop. Like
So
Drake,
then,
like that Drake song.
yeah. So I tell him, so what's stopping me from posting about the faith every single day? What's stopping me from showcasing the beauties of the church, beauties of my faith, of my experience, my journey? What is stopping me from doing that and sharing that with somebody who might be going through something? And when they look at this, they say, hey, let me step back. Let me try to walk back towards God, and then let me see where I can go from there, right? If I could do that, bro, I did something. And that I don't need to know. I don't need to know what is specifically happened with the person. As long as it helped that person get to that point, hey, I did my job. And so every day I said, it's a difficult process, not gonna lie. It's a difficult process to be
let's talk
every
about
day on
it.
that.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
because because like you said, you're posting every day. Some of them have quotes. You got to find the quotes. You got to post the day. You translate it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Some of them have graphics on top of the top of the pictures, right?
Yep.
You've got to edit the pictures, right?
Got to edit the picture.
Maybe put a filter on it or adjust the brightness, the contrast, things like that. Some of them have borders. Some of them are in a layout. So, like you're saying, this is a lot of work. But what?
But hey, it's all we want to show the faith, right? So we gotta be the examples. We gotta be the ambassadors for Christ to the rest of the world. And if we want to talk about this active, consistent, and with effort, and love, we gotta do it. We gotta be that example. So I try to do my part on that end. We're trying to showcase the faith. If it reaches, listen, if it reaches however many people it reaches, I'm not trying to do it for my ego. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do it for that point.
I used to listen to this podcast where they kind of like did the math at how many practicing Catholics there is like globally at the moment versus the population, and like there's like 7 billion people or something like that, and I forgot how many practicing Catholics there are globally, but like this podcast host like was saying that like he divided the number of the population globally to the number of practicing Catholics, and he's like, if everyone converted or tried to convert, right? You can't force someone to convert, but like if everyone kind of tried to convert like at least 7 people in their lifetime, like the whole world would be like converted. So
Exactly.
it's not really like I gotta convert 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 100,000 people, 2,000. You know what I mean? Like one person is one person is amazing. Like 7 people would be amazing too. You know what I mean? But I think that makes I think that makes your point. And the other thing that I wanted to say before I lost it is I think you're right about like the people, you know, from our perspective, we're posting good things, right? And but I think you're right that like when we perceive something to be bad, it seems like those people like every day, sometimes twice a day. It seems like those people go hard, right?
They go hard. They go hard every
And I
single
mean, it's
moment.
not lost on me that those people think that what they're posting is good or neutral, whatever. Like people don't think that they post bad things, you know, but from
Hmm.
our perspective, maybe we don't agree with it. We think it's immoral,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And
Hmm.
from our perspective, it seems like, man, these people every day, they're actively, consistently putting effort to post this stuff. Like,
Hmm.
why can't we do that to spread the
Hmm.
gospel? I really like that point.
Yeah, yeah. And so again, everything, you know, when you do something with the right intentions, obviously it's always going to be it's not going to be easy, right?
Mhm.
And we've heard the other saying that, you know, if it matter something like you know, what matters will what the heck is it? Dang, I lose these sayings. Oh, there's so many sayings. What matters, if it's worth it, something
If it's
something
worth it
along
or if it
those.
matters, like what, you'll put in the effort or.
Yeah, something like that. You'll
Mhm.
go through the struggle, something like that, along those lines.
We'll find it.
And
We'll find
yeah,
it and we'll
yeah,
put that one on a T2.
yeah. I got you. And yeah, so I mean that's the you know that's the effort that I'm trying to, you know, put forth, especially with everything these past what two now starting 20. I got my first camera towards the end of 2017, 2018. I did a little stuff here and there. 2019 was the year that I said, all right, you know what, we're gonna go in, we're gonna well actually let me I started 2018 putting some photos here and there, but then the beginning of 2019, I said, yo, we're gonna go in. And ever since then, I've been going, and this is what like my 2019. I've been posting every day. 2020, I got to the point in 2020 where I looked at what I had, and I said to myself, "Man, I'm not prepared for this."
Mhm.
And but again, always with that trust in mind about God's gonna provide, God's gonna take
Yeah,
care of me.
that's a great point.
Man, I'm tell you something. I think this year I went out and wherever I got an opportunity to go ahead and get some good shots. Man, I was just like I just inspired to go ahead and just go in and take the pics and capture those
Mhm.
moments and then come back and just we made it to 2021 and again that I think the inspiration part I think is beautiful because you never really know what you're going to see and you never know exactly what is it that you're going to get and I'm always thankful to God for the entire journey that we've walked so far that I've walked so far with my family.
Mhm.
I know that, you know, everything, like I said, every day, you know, it doesn't go over my head that, you know, today, you know, I have an opportunity to help somebody, to be able to spread the gospel, to preach Christ, to be an ambassador for his church. But I always remember that I also have my family, you know what I'm saying? And they require that love as well. And they require that effort and that consistency and that activeness and there and that's really the my biggest if there's anything that I would like people to take away from what I went through this entire quick timeline, is that God gives us the tools to learn about his love. And sometimes all of our journeys don't start at the same place. Some of us will have both parents. Sometimes some of us will have only one parent. Sometimes we might not even have a parent, but at the end of the day, God is gonna is gonna guide us to go to that place where he will come to us, right? And unless we're active, we want it. We gotta want it. He will do like a little, like just tap over your head. And there's like a veil. They always talk about that veil coming off over your
It's
eyes.
interesting that so my wife and I started reading a chapter of the Bible a night, and the one for tonight was actually when Ananias went to go pray over St. Paul, and the scales fell off of his. Finish your thoughts, bro.
Yeah, and yeah. So if we put that treat it like a relationship, treat it like you're like a relationship, a living, breathing relationship. We know how to act when we're in a relationship. At least I see a lot of people say that they know how to act when they're in a relationship. And it doesn't have to be a partner relationship, right? It could be within the family, right? These are the tools that God has given us to be able to start the process, to start the journey, and to start looking for him. Ultimately, we're all, like I said, we're all created by God. We have that touch, we have that imprint of God in our hearts. And it's all depending on us. Whenever you start that process, you're going to look back and you're going to say to yourself, dang it, why didn't I start earlier?
Yeah, that's true.
All. And that's a little bit there.
My guy, I'm so glad that we finally are releasing this as a podcast. For those of you that don't know, we used to do we found each other on Instagram, and we did how many lives did we do?
Maybe like 5, I think.
Yeah,
like 5
we
or
did.
6.
It was a good 5 or 6. I mean, we did them over 5 to 7
several
weeks.
Yeah,
Several weeks. And I think one of them made it on my feed. I think we were talking about Saint Anthony of Padua and Fulton Sheen, and that
saint
one,
right there.
yeah, and that one
Favorite
made it
saint
to my
family.
feed. But I wanted to do a pod with Edwin. Reached out to him. He graciously reminded me several times, and we chose to talk about his conversion. And it's a great story, bro. So keep it up and tell everyone how they can connect with you on the gram and on the YouTubes.
Yeah, so everybody just follow me on Earthly Lynx. It's all one word, Earthly, LYNX, all one word, Earthly Lynx on the gram and on YouTube. Earthly Lynx on YouTube is actually Earthly Space Lynx.
It's featured on this channel, so if they want to go, they can look on the featured channels or just search it, right?
Yeah.
Before we finish, what does that mean, by the way? I don't think I've ever asked you what Earthly Lynx means.
Oh, that's a whole nother
story. All right, we'll leave it for another. We'll leave it for another time. But
there's a little bit into that, but yeah.
But y'all make sure you follow him on the gram, subscribe to his YouTube, subscribe to this YouTube for more episodes on me just sharing what's important to me. This is important to me. This is the most important thing to me out of all of the things that I get philosophical and conversational about. So thank you so much, Edwin. And for everybody else, just remember to subscribe, to leave us a comment, share it. It's very important to share. And remember what Venerable Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen taught us: your life is worth living. Loving my guys, my girls. Bye.